In the first month of 2024, the CCP takes 3 major hits. China's economic decline, Shandong mother's Candid account resonates. Claiming Xi Jinping is anxious and paranoid, CCP's national advisor rebels. Human Rights Watch, 5 major automakers implicated in Xinjiang forced labor. It's all covered in today's China Truths. In the first month of 2024, the CCP takes 3 major hits. In January 2024, the Chinese Communist Party experienced a series of setbacks. Javier Milei, Argentina's newly inaugurated president, emerged as a formidable critic, labeling the CCP as an assassin and raising the rhetorical question about the advisability of doing business with an assassin. He realigned Argentina's stance towards China and robustly attacked the misconceptions of socialism. Speaking at the Davos World Economic Forum on January 17, Milei identified socialism as humanity's nemesis, asserting that problems stem from government intervention, not from its absence, and championed free market capitalism as the universal remedy. Using Argentina as a cautionary tale, Milei highlighted the nation's ascent as a world leader following its embrace of free market principles in 1860, only to plummet into systemic poverty and fall to 140th in global standings after a century of collectivist policies. He argued that historical attempts at socialism have invariably failed, whereas free market capitalism has dramatically uplifted the global economy and significantly reduced poverty since 1800. Milei criticized Western countries for jeopardizing liberal principles and inadvertently facilitating the rise of socialism, noting how governments now indirectly influence individuals' lives through economic policies and regulations. He called for a return to prosperity based on free market principles at Davos. Immediately after taking office in December, Milei launched ambitious reforms, including a drastic devaluation of Argentina's currency, having the number of government departments, and cutting extensive welfare subsidies, alongside withdrawing from the CCP-led initiative to expand the BRICS group. His stance sparked widespread discussion among Chinese netizens, revealing a deep yearning for transformative leadership akin to Milei's approach. Milei's critique, grounded in policy and ideology, resonated beyond governmental circles, touching on a broader dissatisfaction and prompting a reflection on global public sentiment towards governance and economic models. The second incident occurred on January 19. British pianist Brendan Kavanagh, who has more than 2 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, experienced an interruption by the CCP's Little Pinks brandishing China's flag while live streaming at London's St Pancras train station. They claimed portrait rights and demanded the cessation of filming to adhere to Chinese law. Kavanagh expressed astonishment, asserting the UK's status as a free country where public recording is permitted, underscoring his obligation to UK law, not Chinese law. Due to his remarks, Kavanagh was labeled a racist by one of the Little Pinks. In response, Kavanagh retorted, "When in Rome, do as the Romans do," and added, "Clearly, you don't grasp the concept of democracy." The live video quickly became a sensation on the internet, amassing over 7 million views and more than 70,000 comments, igniting an anti-communist sentiment. Kavanagh disclosed that the CCP exerted pressure on YouTube to delete the video, but to no avail. He was adamant that the video stay accessible online. In a bold move, he even revisited the location with a Winnie the Pooh figure, mocking the CCP's leader, and performed his anti-communist song, which resonated strongly with online audiences. Another video making rounds online, recorded on January 23, showcases Melo Zhang performing Glory to Hong Kong on the now-famous piano at London's St Pancras train station. He displayed a sign condemning the CCP's infiltration, expressing gratitude toward Dr. Kavanagh, and stating, "Not all Chinese people want a CCP authoritarian concentration camp," clearly distinguishing between the CCP and China itself. His performance and message garnered significant attention and applause from onlookers, with another individual in the audience displaying a similar supportive sign. The unfolding of this event marks a turning point. Lawrence Sellon, a retired U.S. Army colonel, characterized it as a major international incident, highlighting the apparent involvement of pro-CCP elements in the UK who targeted pianist Brendan Kavanagh. Selen pointed to the discernible involvement of the CCP's United Front Work Department, which handles foreign influence and intelligence operations. If the first two developments were broadly directed at the Communist Party overall, then the third specifically targets certain groups governed by the Chinese Communist Party. On January 22, Australia quietly discontinued its Significant Investor Visa (SIV) scheme and other related business investment visa policies, which accounted for a quarter of its immigration quota. Introduced in 2012 as the Golden Visa, it granted permanent residency for a $5 million Australian investment, offering a swift path to citizenship with minimal residency, no English requirement, and no age limit. The cancellation was prompted by the program's fiscal burden on taxpayers and its misuse by foreign criminals and corrupt officials to obtain citizenship. The issue at hand is that Australia's Significant Investor Visa (SIV) program, predominantly catering to Chinese nationals, who make up 90% of its recipients, has been terminated, effectively blocking a key escape route for the CCP's elite. This move by Australia mirrors actions taken by the United States. On December 11 last year, President Biden issued a proclamation aimed at those involved in corruption, barring them and their families from entering the U.S. This measure targets individuals offering financial legal services that facilitate money laundering or evasion of legal responsibilities. The CCP reacted with alarm. On January 7, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection criticized the U.S. policy as hypocritical and overbearing, sparking widespread debate. This reaction raises questions about the CCP's own anti-corruption claims, suggesting they might be merely superficial, especially given the number of officials moving assets overseas. The U.S. stance has been applauded by Chinese netizens, who ridicule CCP officials for transferring their wealth and families to the West, highlighting a vulnerability that has evidently touched a nerve. These three developments signify a challenging start to 2024 for the CCP, with criticism not just from international bodies like the Davos World Economic Forum but also from ordinary people and the global online community. The Australian visa cancellation and U.S. entry restrictions expose the CCP's corruption, stripping away its protective veneer. Amid the derision from both domestic and international observers, what actions can the CCP, now seen as both a rogue and a clown, possibly take next? China's economic decline, Shandong mother's candid account resonates. As we've repeatedly reported previously, the recent policies of the Chinese Communist Party have had a severe impact on the Chinese economy. This has resulted in the withdrawal of foreign investments, the closure of factories, and has made the lives of ordinary people increasingly challenging, causing them to refrain from spending freely. About a month ago, Bai Yensong, a host from CCTV, asked experts on his show how to address the issue of ordinary people having money but being afraid to spend it. This question was met with ridicule and mockery by internet users. On January 29, a mother from Shandong Dezhou posted a video in response to Bai Yensong's question. She said, "We bought our house in 2021, and our monthly mortgage is 3,200 yuan, about $450 and 60 cents. We also have an external debt of 300,000 yuan, about $42,244. Forget about spending, I'm currently tightening my belt, and I don't know when we can fill this financial hole." Farmers are facing even greater difficulties, struggling to ensure their basic livelihood. The mother said, "Farmers have no retirement pensions or health insurance. In winter, we only have access to cabbage and radishes, and in summer, it's eggplants and green beans, all priced at less than 1 yuan, about 14 cents, per kilogram. If vegetables cost more than 2.5 yuan, about 35 cents, they simply can't afford to buy them." This mother also addressed host Bai Yensong, stating, "Instead of advising people to spend, you should suggest creating more job opportunities, lowering oil prices, and increasing retirement benefits for farmers. When we have money, you don't need to advise us, we will spend it." After the release of this video, it immediately resonated with many internet users, and many expressed their gratitude, saying that she voiced their concerns. Mr. Hua from Guangzhou said, "Guangzhou is going through a tough time, the economic situation is very poor. We can't find jobs. Some elderly people have had no income for an entire year, and no one is looking out for them. Mr. Yang, another resident from Jiangsu, said, "This year has been tough everywhere. Many factories near us have shut down. 60 to 70% of the people are unemployed. People used to spend 10 yuan, about $1.41, but now they can't even spend half of that." Mr. Yu from Jinyi, Guizhou, said, "There are too many unemployed people, and ordinary folks are suffering. They have no land to farm, resort to small businesses, and it's very tough for them. Their income is low, and some have no income at all." Last year, Chinese economist Li Xunlei published an article in the China Business News, citing data from the China Income Distribution Research Institute at Beijing Normal University. This data indicated that there are approximately 964 million people in China with a monthly income of less than 2,000 yuan, nearly $282. Even if the actual figures are worse, the CCP quickly removed this article. Claiming Xi Jinping is anxious and paranoid, CCP's national advisor rebels. Li Daokuei, dubbed the national advisor of the CCP, recently shed light on sensitive topics that have cast the CCP in an unflattering light, specifically addressing the leadership's extreme anxiety and paranoia. His insights, detailed in the English-language publication China's Worldview, as reported by Bloomberg on January 27, provide a critical analysis of the CCP leaders' insecurities regarding their position on the global stage. The book, barred from publication in China due to its candid revelations about CCP operations, explores the pivotal roles of state-owned enterprises, the interactions between private businesses and the government, and the delicate nature of issues like Taiwan, amidst China's declining global economic standing and stock market challenges. In discussions with Bloomberg, Li Daokuei raised concerns about insufficient domestic demand, advocating for increased public spending, enhanced welfare, and the elimination of consumption restrictions. He described CCP leaders as more anxious, insecure, and paranoid than their American counterparts. Following Xi Jinping's ascent, Li Daokuei was frequently mentioned as a national advisor with regular access to Zhongnanhai, the CCP's central base. In 2022, Li openly claimed that the crackdown on Jack Ma's Ant Group stemmed from the top leadership's fear of Ma's political influence, which has since been nullified. Jack Ma's return to China last year lends credence to Li's intimate knowledge of the CCP's inner workings. On February 1 this year, independent commentator Kai Shinkoan published an article on X platform, highlighting that the term paranoia is significantly negative for Xi Jinping and is viewed as utterly disgraceful by the CCP's Central Propaganda Department, Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, Ministry of Public Security, and Ministry of State Security, especially in the context of accepting interviews with foreign media. Kai contends that Li Daokuei's comments do not indicate a revolt or a breaking point within Xi Jinping's advisory team. Given China's oppressive political climate, even senior party officials refrain from dissent to avoid accusations of endangering national security. This caution extends to economists unless Li Daokuei is contemplating a dramatic departure from the party line. Kai Shinkoan's critique targets Li Daokuei's recommendation for the CCP to invest more in public welfare and the people, framing it as a direct challenge to Xi thought and misaligned with Xi Jinping's priorities. If Xi genuinely prioritized people's welfare and economic development, he wouldn't relentlessly disrupt various sectors, significantly harming China's economy. The Wall Street Journal notes the CCP leadership's reluctance to boost the economy through direct cash payments, considering such consumer-led growth inefficient and ideologically misaligned with party principles. Kai underscores Xi's repeatedly expressed view that extensive welfare benefits foster laziness, preferring instead to allocate resources to showcase projects and support allies rather than improve citizen welfare. Kai suggests that during economic downturns and periods of low consumer spending, the government should heed certain economists' advice to distribute cash directly to the populace instead of issuing consumption vouchers. Li Daokuei previously criticized the U.S. approach of direct cash handouts during the pandemic, contrasting it with local governments' preference for vouchers under the pretext of being unable to identify the truly needy. Former Premier Li Keqiang candidly stated in May 2020 that approximately 600 million Chinese citizens earn about 1,000 yuan a month, about $140.83, a sum insufficient even for renting in medium-sized cities. With China's economic performance failing to meet expectations and the CCP at a loss for solutions, the authorities have also prohibited pessimistic commentary on the economy. Columnist Anders Corr, writing for the Epoch Times, attributed the ongoing turmoil in China's economy to the CCP's actions, which have stunted economic growth, devastated real estate developers, and undermined international businesses attempting to invest in China, including the financial sector in Hong Kong. Despite this, Xi Jinping remains indifferent, stubbornly adhering to a policy of denial and continuing down a path that seems increasingly self-destructive for the CCP. Human Rights Watch: 5 major automakers implicated in Xinjiang forced labor. Xinjiang, a major hub for aluminum production in northwestern China, contributes approximately 9% to the global supply. It has been linked to government-supported labor transfer initiatives criticized for coercing Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities into the industry. On February 1, Human Rights Watch, a U.S.-based organization, released a report revealing that the world's top 5 automakers had not sufficiently examined their supply chains, leading to continued ties with forced labor programs in China's Xinjiang region. This assessment relied on information from Chinese state media, corporate disclosures, and official statements. The report identified major global car manufacturers, including Toyota, General Motors, Volkswagen, Tesla, and China's BYD, as being at significant risk of involvement in forced labor. It also highlighted that any investigation into Xinjiang-related entities, including partnerships between foreign and Chinese companies, faced backlash from the Chinese government, impeding automakers' supply chain transparency efforts. Despite scrutiny, the complex supply chain of the aluminum sector, characterized by trading and alloy processing, allows for the concealment of product origins. The Chinese government consistently denies forced labor allegations, labeling previous probes into automaker ties with Xinjiang as unfounded accusations. Although these automotive giants have anti-forced labor policies and require supplier compliance, the report reveals their lack of essential insights into their aluminum supply chains. In response to Human Rights Watch, Tesla acknowledged aligning its supply chain with specific mines but was criticized for not disclosing the extent of its aluminum supply tracing or its sources. Volkswagen admitted challenges in ensuring transparency within its extensive supplier network, particularly when sourcing specific aluminum components. It was also noted that Volkswagen's ethical procurement policies did not extend to unaffiliated joint ventures in China. General Motors reported ongoing efforts with partners to address forced labor risks in its supply chain but did not provide specifics on overseeing Chinese joint venture procurements. Toyota and BYD did not respond to inquiries from Human Rights Watch. Human Rights Watch cites a report from China's Xinhua news agency, revealing that between 2014 and 2019, around 2.76 million rural laborers were relocated annually within Xinjiang, with the number reaching 3.2 million in 2021. While China claims these programs aim to alleviate poverty, they face international criticism, particularly from the U.S., for being coercive and suppressing dissent. The scale of Uyghur forced labor remains unclear due to limited access for investigations. Accusations of detaining over 1 million Uyghurs have risen against China, impacting industries like solar panels, cotton, and tomatoes, affecting global trade and corporations like Nike. Human Rights Watch urges the UK, Australia, and Canada to enact laws against importing goods associated with forced labor and to mandate corporate transparency in supply chains linked to human rights violations. The US is scrutinizing Xinjiang products, designating aluminum as a high priority for investigation under the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, requiring publicly listed companies to verify annually the absence of high-risk Xinjiang products in their supply chains. Jim Wormington of Human Rights Watch highlights the auto industry's lack of awareness regarding potential inclusion of materials from forced labor or abuse, emphasizing the need for consumer awareness. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.
Thank you.